Tonight on Joynews, Prime nurses and other allied health workers suspend strike as they are forced into compulsory arbitration to resolve deadlock over the working conditions.
We have been properly served by the Labour Commission. So, as law-abiding citizens, as we've been talking about all the time, they have decided to temporarily suspend the strike and proceed to the Labour Commission.
We'll bring you impact stories from across the country, even as leadership of the nurses warn against attacks on their members. President Akufo-Addo assures free, credible and fair elections this December in a virtual address to the UN General Assembly.
We have to work together to ensure that the elections will be transparent, free, fair, safe and credible.
The assurances coincide with an inter-party advisory committee called for tomorrow following complaints raised by the opposition NDC about the electoral process.
The incompetence of this electoral commission is legendary.
Also in this bulletin, government extends COVID-19 free water package for Ghanaians to the end of the year. And in business,
power rationing looms as independent power producers threaten to shut down their thermal plants next month.
The IPPs warn that the shutdown is as a result of the members' difficult cash flow position as they have not received enough payment to honor their gas bill and other financial obligations.
And later in this bulletin, Media Foundation for West Africa threatens to seek legal redress over its disagreement with the NCAs on information on the radio stations which have been shut down.
And we're going to continue with the demand. And as I've said, it may require that we go to court, and that is not something that we would hesitate.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joynews Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Many thanks for choosing us. In our very first story, before cancelling his tour of the Bono region over what he describes as chaos in the exhibition of the voters' register, the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama expressed disappointment in the NPP administration for abandoning the Sunyani Ring Road as government started. Addressing a deba at Sunyani magazine, the former president called for an end to the practice of governments abandoning projects they didn't start.
As an military advisor, we have a inspection of Sunyani Ring Roads. And then we buy a ring roads. So I am 4 years ago, yes, you can't come on. I can't see a quota people so. And no for check why not say crack. Now, I know when we say the choir and I say by. Let me say, I won't wait. I was saying a year to us. It's a baby, a year could do baby. None of Wabano, no, so I take no, they could do pepe to be. I said, I say, that for now for not into my near yellow and to us, a jam not say. And that's our fine way. I can't say, we have you, man. Yes, I can say. If said baby, I free, I could do baby a panel. I was here this car, a shebubium, and some intimacy is exactly. And I know we did say, and I miss it.
John Mahama also said they will provide training centers for the garages fitted with diagnostic machines to build the capacity of artisans in modern car maintenance. He says this will ensure they are not forced out of work due to technology. I just say,
enya nimdie ewo saa computer machine no mu enti a manifesto ye can say magazine bia the training center beba ha ye the san fidie na your friend of diagnostic machines ye the beba na ya kire ye masters no any omo amusua eduma wo omo ho no ye be sure omo send omo use diagnostic machines no if you say some machine no e wo plug me we plug your car no ho e bibia say wo car no bia e be catch us say brake sister brake bags e sister way no hu ne ha car no na wetimi esi car no eti sa training centers no any garages for every plan they said be ya magazine bia esu bia the training center na beba na master for the apprentice for obia be kwa kusua bi said be ya obi de ne car ba obetimi e de sa machine no e de ahwe ne ha no na wetimi esiesie enya sa ya hwe ya emre bi beba obi de car ba na unni sa nimdie no ana unni sa machine no na o de usakoka na just a computer no libuefo na just was stopping car no kra and also
the minority leader, member of parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idris, who says the NDC will not accept unprofessional conduct and intimidation from the security services ahead of December 7 general election. Speaking at the same gathering of chiefs, people and members of garage associations in Sunyai magazine, the minority leader said any abuse of misuse of the mandate of the security services will not be accepted by the opposition. Mr. Idrisu said the police and the military, per their mandates, are supposed to be neutral institutions of state and must behave as such.
I'm warning the MPP. As for the intimidation, it must stop. And the security agencies, the military, and the police, they are neutral institutions of state, and they must behave aside by their mandate. Any abuse or misuse of them will not be accepted by the NDC from now until 2020 elections. They should show absolute neutrality. Omo kofa omo vigilante boys no share police ne soldier. Is that the way to govern a country? And what happened at Ayawasu Wagon, we will not accept it going forward into 2020.
Well, Deputy Minister of Interior Henry Korte says in spite of the potential threats which could mar the conduct of the upcoming elections, the security agencies are well prepared to deal with any unforeseen situations. According to the minister, elections in Ghana are usually characterized by physical attacks and insults which often result in violence. Speaking earlier Wednesday at the launch of the National Response Group set up to recommend strategies to violent threats on December 7 elections, Mr. Korte assured of government's efforts to safeguard the peace of the country.
In spite of the seemingly threats to the conduct of elections in Ghana, Ghana is a shining example within the West Africa sub-region. This feat has been possible due to the crucial role of the independence of the Electoral Commission to conduct credible elections. The decisively actions by the police to maintain election security and the resolve of political parties and Ghanaians to adhere to the principles of competitive and democratic elections. However, the impending December 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections are not insulated from threats and risk. At the core of elections in Ghana are protests, physical attacks, violent communications, and the use of vigilantes which continue to heighten tensions ahead of the elections. This year in particular, we cannot underestimate the risk of peace that can emerge from the compounded negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. We therefore have to jealously guard the democratic gains Ghana has accrued over the years. Ghana is a shining example when it comes to democracy and stability. The government, and for that matter, the Ministry of National Security, encourage every citizen and institution in the country to remain committed to Ghana's quest to sustain its well-earned credentials of holding successful, inclusive, credible, and peaceful elections.
In barely 48 hours, the Electoral Commission will bring an end to its voter exhibition exercise. Voters have been required in the last 6 days to show up and verify their data captured by the EC. The opposition NDC has described the exercise as chaotic, citing widespread instances where voters cannot find their names on the register. The EC, in a statement, admitted to having some challenges but working to fix it. NDC flag bearer John Mahama insists the EC is displaying legendary incompetence.
The political parties are the main stakeholders in any election. And so while the exhibition of the register is going on, we have our agents at all the polling stations supervising the registration. Now, if there was an issue in compiling the register where the codes of the various equipment were found to be duplicates, and it was necessary to issue voters' cards, why were the political parties not informed? And the point even is, if you issue those new voters' cards at your district office, how will the people whose cards are affected know so that they can come and give back the old card and collect the new cards? There's so much wrong going on. The incompetence of this Electoral Commission is legendary. We have held elections in this country. We have held voters' registrations in this country, but we've never seen a situation where there's so much chaos and disorder in an electoral process. It has the potential to create crisis in our country. And that is why at a point when I spoke, I said that the Electoral Commission should be prepared to take the blame if this country descends into chaos.
Well, the EC is challenging the NDC to request an inter-party meeting as it maintains nothing unusual is happening. The meeting is coming off Thursday. The Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kwaku, however, believes the issues raised by the NDC are being resolved.
The normal challenges with registration. The ID card is important. It facilitates the registration. But you can vote without the ID card. If there's something that you don't understand, you can also call request for after meeting and we'll meet. But the only assurance I want to say is that the challenges are there, we appreciate them, but they are part of the exhibition. That's why we do exhibition and we rectify all the errors and those things. By the time we finish the final, we'll have a credible one.
Let's talk about the NPP because President Akufo-Addo has assured the world he will ensure a transparent, free, fair and credible election this December. For him, Ghana's reputation as a tolerant and working democracy will be jealously guarded as the country prepares for the 8th general election since the country returned to constitutional rule in 1992. The president will compete with the NDC's John Mahama for the third and final time, and already the opposition is questioning the neutrality of the Electoral Commission in the polls. But addressing a virtual summit of the United Nations General Assembly, the president said he is looking forward to the elections passing off peacefully without hitches.
It is a matter of great pride to me that in spite of the difficulties in conducting an election during a pandemic, I'm able to state that all Ghanaians are agreed that we have to work together to ensure that the elections will be transparent, free, fair, safe, and credible. This will be the 8th elections since we embarked on constitutional rule in our 4th Republic in 1992. Each of the elections has seen an improvement on the previous one, and we're looking forward to this year's passing off peacefully with characteristic Ghanaian dignity. We are keenly aware of the reputation that Ghana has built as a tolerant and working democracy, and we have every intention to nurture and improve upon it.
For the first time since the inception of the UN General Assembly 75 years ago, heads of state would deliver their addresses virtually due to the coronavirus pandemic. The virus, first detected in the Chinese province of Wuhan in December last year, has killed 972,000 people from almost 32 million infections. But as the race to find a cure or vaccine intensifies, President Akufo-Addo wants a solution, when found, to benefit the rich and the poor, irrespective of race and location.
Mr. President, the lessons are clear. We all fell together and looked into the abyss together. Even as we closed our borders and shut airports, the reality dawned on all of us that we had to rely on each other to be able to get out of the trouble we were in. We have all gone down together. We should all rise together. If the answer to this pandemic lies in finding a vaccine, that vaccine should be made available to the whole world, rich and poor alike, developed and developing, all races and all beliefs. The virus has taught us that we are all at risk, and there's no special protection for the rich or a particular class. For as long as the virus exists, whatever medical solutions that might be found should be made available for all in aid of our common humanity.
Also live on your election headquarters on Joynews Prime, and in the last few minutes, the Electoral Commission has released a statement responding to accusations by the NDC, but that the exhibition exercise has been shrouded with a lot of incompetence. Let's check out what the statement says. It says, our attention has been drawn to statements in the media by the National Democratic Congress and its flag bearer to the effect that the Electoral Commission is carrying out an agenda to remove the names of its supporters and sympathizers from the voters register. This allegation is false. The Commission has, from the beginning of the compilation of the voters register, lived up to its motto: fairness, transparency, and accountability. Indeed, at every point, we have provided factual, accurate, and evidence-based information to our stakeholders on voter statistics. It is a paradox, therefore, to suggest that the Commission now seeks to remove persons from the voters register. For the information of the public, the exhibition of the provisional voters register has been provided for in Law CI 91. The law, recognizing that registration process is not foolproof, has provided a mechanism called exhibition to allow citizens to verify their details to ensure that they are captured in the register, or that the details such as sex, age, name are accurate. The exhibition also affords voters the opportunity to correct any errors detected. And this is signed by the Public Affairs Office of the Electoral Commission. And still to come in this bulletin, nurses and other allied health workers suspend strike as they are forced into compulsory arbitration to resolve deadlock over their working conditions.
We have been properly served by the Labour Commission. So, as law-abiding citizens, as we've been talking about all the time, they have decided to temporarily suspend the strike and proceed to the Labour Commission.
There is more when we return from this break. Welcome back to Joynews Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has called off its strike over a breakdown in negotiations on the working conditions of its members. The health workers involved are, however, not expected back at work until Thursday. The association explains this is to give its members enough time to return to their post. The nurses were compelled to call off the strike and commence compulsory arbitration with their employer. That meeting ended a while ago, and would be bringing you an interview with the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on the outcome. The strike has, however, taken a toll on healthcare delivery across the country. Manuel Kranting was at the Carnation Polyclinic, which he says was virtually closed.
The workload has reduced drastically. I would say we are only operating to about 5% of our full capacity as at now. Currently, if I should take you to our reception, the place is completely empty. Previously, or let's say last week, if you should come around this time, you see a whole lot of clients waiting. Some waiting for their services to be given to them, or waiting for their results to go back and see the clinicians.
But how many tests have you conducted in the past 3 days?
Monday, the whole day, we had only 6 cases. Monday, we had only 6 cases. Yesterday, we had about 30 cases, instead of our average of 150 a day. As of today, we have only 8. Currently, we are considering downsizing the staff strength per day, because they will take transport and come here, not do anything, waste money, go back.
In the northern region, the pressure is mounting on private health facilities to take on all those turned away from public facilities. At the Kapsat Scientific Hospital in the northern region capital, all their beds were full with little space to accommodate more. Hospital Administrator Constantine Weir told Joynews most people come in critically ill, needing to be admitted.
What the numbers are this time around. The numbers are really going up. I think it's all because of the strike of the nurses and midwives and other health people. Even though the peak season is drawing close to an end, but the numbers are keeping on going up. And each day we have people coming in, to the extent that our beds are all full. So now we can't even admit. And the cases that are also coming, most of them also demand admission. And we are limited now. So actually, it's giving us pressure. Some of the cases will come, you look at the person, you cannot admit. You can also refer to a bigger hospital like the teaching hospital. So now where do we go from here? What do we do? So I don't know. We in our own small well in Kapsat, we are trying to see what we can do for the patients. Those that are not too sick, we see them on OPD basis, then they go. Those that we think needs to be admitted, we advise them otherwise, either to go to SDA or to try the teaching hospital if it's an emergency case. Unfortunately, let me just say, the strike impact has started hitting, because we just recorded a death case this morning. The woman came yesterday, was seen, and then asked to do an x-ray. She was rushed in this morning, and within a space of 20-30 minutes, the woman had died. If the teaching hospital was working, that would have been the referral place. But unfortunately, we couldn't refer, and we did what we could, but the woman still died. So currently, as we speak, the woman is still in the facility. The dead body is still in the facility. The relatives have gone to see how they arrange to pick up the body to the teaching hospital, to the mortuary. So the strike has started hitting. For us, it has just started. Today is the first case we've recorded. We don't know what the days ahead will be like. So for Kapsat, we think that government and the people involved, the striking nurses and midwives and the others, if they can quickly have their meeting and then go to the drawing board, get a conclusion to this problem. It will solve a lot of things, because at the end of the day, it's the patients, the citizens that will suffer.
Joynews checks at the largest health facility in the Chichiman North District saw only a few patients awaiting health care at the Chobodom Health Center. An elderly diabetic woman who visits the facility twice on a daily basis for an injection told Joynews the strike is affecting her health and called on government to respond to the nurses' demands to save the people. Anna Sabet has more in the following report.
So it's about 9:56 a.m. and I'm here at the Chobodom Health Center in the Chichiman North District of the Bono East region. As at this time, there's no single nurse or midwife or any health official in charge to take care of the few patients I met on the ground. According to some of them who have been speaking to us, the situation is terrible and they need government's intervention swiftly. I've been engaging an elderly woman who is diabetic, and according to her, she had to have a particular injection twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, and for the past 3 days she's not been able to do so. She's been here since 6:30 a.m. today, and she's still waiting, hoping that someone will turn up and then get that injection done.
Now, obviously, I 2 days. Now, when I'm there and a fire, and you break me back, will be any. My better auntie can then a cat in this. My better I'm bad a person, be anyhow, or the woman.
General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, David Tinkron Chum, has warned the association has other arsenals it will unleash to frustrate its employer and healthcare delivery in the country if government shows bad faith in the negotiation expected to take place in the next 1 month. Even though members have agreed to suspend the industrial action and go back to post on Thursday, the General Secretary of the association tells Joynews members are ready to face every single Machiavellian and intimidating tactics targeted at them. He, however, asked the general public and clients who were impacted by the industrial action to forgive them, but equally blamed the employer for denying them what they legitimately deserve.
Several other tactics, if they think they can use other things to more or less, pressurize us. I don't want to use a certain word because the commission were not too happy about the usage of certain phrases and words in the heat of the event. So I'm a bit guided by that. All right. So, but if they think that they can still find ways and means to, play some tactics with us, Charlie, you cannot teach an old dog a new trick.
But the employer will not be happy with the description you gave to the salary, the remuneration that you guys are given at the end of the month. The description you gave it.
As Peters?
Yes. I mean, they will say that you earn a good, reasonable amount of money at the end of the month with some other allowances and the incentives that you get.
There isn't any allowance. That's what we are fighting for. That's what I've told you that, see, they have cheated nurses with reckless abundance. Let me tell you something. These allowances that we're talking about, we shouldn't be talking about it today. It should have been given to nurses long ago. Why should somebody who has practiced nursing for 5 years or even 1 year or 20 years should be now be asking for rent allowance? These are things that ought to have come with your appointment letter. You get a point. Or transportation allowance or food allowance. You get a point. I mean, when you go to other sectors, okay, these things or these packages come with your salary. All right, so we don't need to be talking about some of these things. It's even shameful for us as nurses. Somebody was asking me, how long have you practiced? I said, I've practiced nursing for close to 2 decades. 20 years. And I don't have fuel allowance. He's surprised. And not just any ordinary nurse, but at least somebody who have had or gone through the meal. I started as a certificated nurse, but I have colleagues or myself, finished masters, doing PhD and the rest of it. So, what's the essence in, fighting for these pitons at this time? Okay. But because we love our patients, we love the work that we do all the time, people take us for a ride, okay? And they take our leniency as our weakness. When we started, we had very respected nurses and midwives, some of them on retirement, very people that we hold them in high esteem. They, call us, David, you Perpetua, try and, stop what you are doing. It's very sad, do you understand? Because I have had an opportunity to sit on some few boards before and for example retirement boards, and if you see the amount of money that nurses are going home or midwives are going home or physician assistants as far as then nurses are retiring home, you'll be amazed. 25,000, 30,000 after working for 40 years, after working for 39 years diligently. Do you understand? And they give you 30,000 Ghana cedis as a retirement benefit for a nurse or a midwife or a physician assistant.
David Tenkrang is the General Secretary of the Nurses and Midwives Association. Still to come in this bulletin, power rationing looms as independent power producers threaten to shut down thermal plants next month over unpaid debts. Details in business shortly.
According to a notice to the energy minister cited by Joy Business, the IPPs warned that the shutdown is as a result of the members' difficult cash flow position, as they have not received enough payment to honor their gas bill and other financial obligations. The IPPs contribute about 45% of the over 2,800 megawatts peak demand of electricity in the country. It said it urgently needed to pay for its August gas bill failure, which will lead to the shutdown of fuel supply. This would, as a result, affect power generation and supply. Coupled to that, its next installment of loan repayment of $51 million for the Phase 2 project to China Development Bank and other financial obligations are due in September and October respectively. The IPPs, however, commended the government for the recent part payment to some of its members, but argued that it was not enough. It emphasized that many of its members face real danger of insolvency. It concluded saying it has shown commitment to supporting government efforts to restructure the power sector to put it on a sustainable path for the benefit of Ghanaians and businesses.
Hydro during the night. Precious Semaphore has more in this report.
The Bui Dam, commissioned in 2013, has the capacity to generate 400 megawatt power, but the Bui Power Authority (BPA) is ready to configure other renewable energy source to the hydro to show their capacity. This is in fulfillment of the government's policy of increasing the renewable energy mix by 2030, and also in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7 on affordable and clean energy. BPA is thus constructing a 250 megawatt hydro-solar PV hybrid plant at the Bui Enclave for a combined total of 650 megawatt of power. Peter Echampon is the manager, Renewable Energy, BPA.
Ghana government intends to, by 2030, have 10% of its energy generation coming from renewables. A total area of 200 acres. We are expecting roughly 130,000 pieces of panel to be installed. The panel capacity is 380 watts.
He said they have expanded the existing Bui generation station switchyard to accommodate the additional energy to to be generated from the solar farm as they start commissioning of the first phase in October 2020.
Already has a switcher with a capacity of 400 megawatts for the hydro. So we've just expanded the existing switcher to accommodate an additional 250. So when all is done, it will be 650. We will commission it in phases. So the first phase of the 50 will be commissioning by end of next month.
For Joynews, Precious Semevo, BPA Solar Farm, Bui.
Now, in a bid to promote sales and digital marketing, KudiShop.com has launched its Kudi Shop web portal. Now, the portal is set to offer customers real-time deliveries across the country. Nicholas Brown has more in this report.
Providing affordability and accessibility are the trademark of KudiShop.com. These are the words of team leader Kabuna Apia as they launched a new web portal for online shopping. According to Kabuna Apia, the web portal is to provide quality experience and offer real-time deliveries to customers across the country. He spoke to Joy Business.
One distinct feature about KudiShop.com is it provides affordability. So it's using cutting-edge technology to stream the prices and show up the most cheapest affordable price you can ever find.
Kabuna Apia further indicated that its sole objective is to satisfy customers as the company seeks to capture the Ghanaian digital market.
We are not really competing with any of these online platforms you mentioned. Our focus is on client satisfaction. So we are not even watching there or you're not even looking there. Our focus is to make sure that whatever our clients needs or whatever we've promised our clients, they get it exactly the way we've promised them.
Also at the launch, a banker, Henry Damte, who served as the guest speaker, urged businesses to take advantage of digital marketing to grow their businesses.
It is important to note that in 21st century, businesses cannot survive without online business. As far as research is concerned, the growing trend in digital marketing and online business has increased drastically.
Well, and that's it by way of business. Sports is up next.
Thank you for staying with us on Joynews Prime. Gary Al Smith here with the sport. And the communications director of the Ghana Football Association, Henry Asante-Chum, says the football governing body convinced the government about the impact of football in the Ghanaian society before the president lifted the suspension of the organization of football matches.
The Ghana Football Association has been engaging government on the need for the return of football since April. Communications Director of the FA, Henry Asante-Chum, speaking to Joy Sports, divulged the football governing body relied on the impact of football on society to convince government to lift the suspension on the game.
Once there is football, the burden on society, is a bit relaxed because it is a product that the people love. There will be talk of House of Oak, there will be talk of Kotoko, there will be talk of Elmina Sharks, Adriana Stars, Dreams FC, among others, week in, week out. And economically, it spices up the system. So that is what we told government, and they bought into it. They saw the need to lift the ban, and then finally we are going to, get our league back on and enjoy what we always enjoy.
Okay. With the green light handed to the FA for the resumption of football, members of the FA must ensure the protocols put in place by government to fight the pandemic are adhered. One of such is the consistent testing of players and technical team members. Many say clubs are financially incapacitated to afford the fee for testing. Henry says it will be suicidal for clubs to bear the cost of testing.
I think it will be suicidal if you look at what clubs have gone through since March to tell them to pay for the cost of testing their players, their officials, and then their technical team members. It will be suicidal. It will be insensitive, to say the least. So in our discussions with government has agreed to take up that cost. And so all the 30 registered players of the 18 Premier League clubs, the 48 Division 1 League clubs, and the 16 Women's Premier League clubs. That is what we are dealing with for now. We will later come to the other league competitions in the regions, and then the juvenile leagues.
Okay. The new football season is expected to commence on October 30.
And that's the sport for now. Gary Al Smith here. We should be back in about an hour with more.
For Showbiz, Becky is here with the very latest. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Yeah, I know. Good to see me too in E-Vibes.
Oh, yes.
I know. I can't wait for E-Vibes, but we won't talk about E-Vibes now.
And it's a Saturday.
I know.
I'm waiting patiently.
Oh, look at me, all excited about
and
E-Vibes.
blushing.
Yeah, you can't even see the blush. But Aisha, let's talk about Creamy. Creamy has been talking about the COVID pandemic, the impact of COVID-19, and he said that it has opened the doors for marketing online to all the musicians. So at least they're gaining something.
If you weren't looking that direction, COVID has brought your attention.
Yes,
there. Great. Nachi have you.
Nachi have you. I don't want to be. Hey. So today we're putting the spotlight on Davis. Davis is a musician. He used to be a gospel musician.
Okay.
Then he said that let's forget about gospel. Let's do high life.
Okay.
Because this music that everyone is doing here in Ghana, it has to do with business, and he's up for business. All right, so that was Davis. We're supporting young acts in the country, and so yeah, just basically that's what's happening. But Aisha, you know that E-Vibes is coming up this Saturday. It's on our original Joy Prime content. It went on Sunday, and so Joynews, however, before news file 8:30 a.m.
And E-Vibes
is showing on Joynews.
On Joynews,
and
okay.
And
it's how long?
It's 30 minutes long.
30 minutes.
We tell you.
Okay, so
It's 8:30. Then we end at 9. Then
and make way
for news file.
News file. Okay.
So there's a lot to look forward to. With E-Vibes.
E-Vibes.
I've been doing E-Vibes for a very long time.
Maybe we should get Langabel to do one for E-Vibes.
He who bells. I know, but I think this is E-Vibes.
Yeah.
Vibes.
I can't wait to hear how he goes about this.
E-Vibes. So this is E-Vibes, and you guys should.
In Langabel's voice.
Yeah, this is different. I mean, Aisha, you should tell them tomorrow.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'll tell you about, all the details, what you should expect on Saturday.
Yeah. We'll be looking forward to that, and that'll be it for Showbiz. Now to the rest of our stories. Free water for 3 more months as government extends COVID-19 package to the end of 2020. We have details. Tonight, government has announced an extension of the free water package as part of COVID-19 protocol to another 3 months. A statement signed by the Sanitation Minister, Cecilia Abnadapa, says the extension takes effect from October 1 to the end of December 2020 to ensure that Ghanaians continue to wash their hands with soap and the running water as part of the COVID-19 safety protocols. Stanley Mate is the head of communications for the Ghana Water Company Limited. He's joining me shortly. Stanley, thanks for your time on Joynews Prime. Has this been officially communicated to your outfit?
Thank you very much, Aisha. Thank you for having me. And good evening to your listeners. Yes, it has been communicated to us. Indeed, we were informed prior to the issuance of the press release. So we are aware, and we have been doing everything possible to enable us to deliver on the directives given to us, Aisha.
For the first 3 months that water was giving out freely by government, we had some hitches, executing that. But for now, do you have the capacity or resources to provide water for free for another 3 months? I mean, considering some of the challenges you've been facing recently.
Yes, Aisha. I think we've been producing water from time immemorial, and we've had challenges in the system. Every time we try to solve them, okay? So we still will have challenges in the system, and we will do everything we can to solve them and to supply water to the people. I can't stand here and say that within the next 3 months there wouldn't be any challenge at all. No, not at all. They will happen, but we will solve them and still serve our people. All we want is for consumers to appreciate the work that we are doing and then appreciate the fact that challenges are bound to happen. And when they happen, we just have to work hard and make sure that they are resolved on time and then resume production and supply to the people. Challenges are inevitable in the life of every institution, and especially with the GWCL, where we have aged equipment and all that. So they are bound to happen. Even if they are new, the equipment, so they are bound to happen. But then the most important thing is we are on top of issues. We'll make sure they are resolved as early as practicable and then resume services. Aisha.
It's what, 9 months of free water to consumers? How much is it costing us?
It's costing us averagely 60 million Ghana cedis a month. And I must say that since it began, government has done its best in paying its due to GWCL. So, for instance, the arrangement is such that we give government real bills. So we read meters of consumers and then give the real bills to government, and then government does its auditing and due diligence and then pays back to Ghana Water. So what we have been doing since its inception is that, for instance, in April, we read the meters, give the bill to government in May, and then before May ended, government paid, and then we read bills for May, submitted in June, and then government paid before the end of June, and it's been continuing like that. Okay, as I speak, we have received that of June, and we are even paying compensation to vendors for June. So everything is on course, and I believe that government will continue, the process will continue as it is till it ends in December.
So government has settled all its bills for the 6 months already?
Government hasn't settled everything, okay, but they have settled what they have done due diligence on, what they have done the auditing on.
Which is?
Like I said initially, when we submit the bills, they have to do their auditing and then go through the processes to pay. So it's not like we just submit the bill today and tomorrow it is paid. No, it will have to go through a process and then government will pay. And with all government agencies, every payment goes through processes. And I think as technicals, that is how we work and that's how things are going. So we can't begrudge anybody. If there's any delay, then there's a delay as a result of some maybe certain things that hadn't been done in the process.
Certain things like...
For instance, if they find anything untoward with auditing, they'll refer back to us and we'll have to rectify it before resubmitting. Fortunately for us, all the auditing that government has done on the bills that we've submitted has gone through very well, and they are paying. And it's our belief that the process will continue like that. They are standard operating procedures, okay? And if you follow them, we don't have any challenges. And I think for GWCL, we are doing our best, submitting the bills as they are, because government hasn't found anything untoward with the bills that we've submitted, and they are paid. And we hope that it will continue like that to the end of the year.
I'm grateful for your time. Stanley Mate is Head of Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited. Now, the Media Foundation for West Africa is vowing to go to court, if it must, to compel the National Communications Authority to provide it with documents relating to the shutdown of some radio stations. According to Executive Director Suleiman Abrahima, the decision by the NCA to charge 2,000 cedis before providing them the information on the closed radio stations suggests it is trying to hide something.
Refusal by the NCA to, present the information to us and the demand for as much as 2,000. We've started this advocacy. We have engaged the public. The public must know why we are doing this, and that is why we've invited you for this encounter. And we're going to continue with the demand. And as I've said, it may require that we go to court, and that is not something that we would hesitate. Indeed, already we've spoken to our lawyers, and I believe that if the situation remains as it is, perhaps we will go to the law courts for the cost to determine whether the information we requested for, and based on what is available at the NCA should charge us to pay 2,000 before they present the information to us, and whether or not that will not be an affront to the RTI law.
The foundation says it's accusing the NCA of making mockery of the right to information law, saying that was not what the media and civil societies fought for. It has vowed not to pay the 2,000 that is being demanded by the NCA, as it will set a bad precedent.
What our aspirations were, the hopes that we had, that the obstacles that we are always confronted with in terms of access to information will be resolved by the right to information legislation. Perhaps institutions are even going to make it more difficult using that same law. How many journalists can afford to pay 2,000 Ghana cedis before accessing such a fundamental piece of information? And our point is that, yes, it may be legitimate to pay a certain amount, but not for basically generating information that is sitting on your database, sending that information via email to a requester. If we were to do that, it will set such a bad precedent. And as an organization that is advocating for media freedom, supporting journalistic work and all of that, if we were to go ahead and do that, the next time it will be you as a journalist who will be requesting for information from the Ministry of Education, from the Ghana Health Service, from the Public Procurement Authority, and you would be told to pay 5,000 or 2,000, because, as he says, a precedent had been set in the Bars branding saga and in the recent case of the Electoral Commission. And that is something that we don't want to do, but at the same time, we insist that public information belongs to the public. It is therefore untenable for a public institution to decide that the way to go about its work is to hide vital information from the public in order to perhaps cover up exercise that they had undertaken, in which they, went about it with a lot of discrimination. And we believe, as I said, that the whole exercise was politically motivated. And therefore, we would continue to pursue the demand for this information, which is in exercise of our fundamental right to access information. And we call on you to join us in this debate.
Let's talk about education, because following President's directive for second-year SHS and JHS students to return to school on October 5 to complete the remainder of the academic work for the 2019-2020 academic year, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana Limited, has begun the third phase of the disinfection exercise of all second cycle and basic schools across the country. The nationwide exercise, which kick-started Wednesday, is part of processes involved in cleaning possible strains of the coronavirus from the schools before the students return. My colleague Manuel Kranting was with the team in Accra and our report.
As part of measures to prepare for the return of second-year senior high and junior high school students, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Zoomlion Ghana Limited, has launched the third phase of the nationwide disinfection exercise. In the Greater Accra region, the exercise will cover 109 senior high schools and 3,680 basic schools. Earlier, a similar exercise was carried out ahead of the reopening of schools for final year SHS and JHS students to prepare for their exit exams. Headmaster of Wesley Grammar Senior High School says the exercise was useful in keeping the campus free from the virus.
Still have been very great. With the first two, the disinfection and then the fumigation helped us a lot. In fact, initially we were having issues with bedbugs. But after the fumigation and the disinfection, there are no bedbugs in our dormitory blocks and anywhere else. And beyond COVID-19, we would always wish that when school reopens, we'll get our ministry and the Ghana Education Service helping us with some of these exercises to help sanitize our school.
As the second-year students return on October 5, Zoomlion's General Manager for Accra Zone, Ernest Morgan, warned school authorities to enforce strict adherence to safety protocols so as not to erode the potency of the disinfection.
But it's better that now that the third years have finished, they have assessed the premises and they have gone, we do the set of disinfection again so that the environment becomes very safe for all of them. The disinfection that we are doing is very good, but it is not the end of the solution to the fight against COVID. The students that are coming in should observe all the protocols, the washing of hands, the use of alcohol-based sanitizers, the social distancing, the wearing of nose masks. They are all very, very important, you understand? It is now that they have to wash their hands under running water. The schools should make it a point to get water for them. Yes.
Meanwhile, Assistant Headmistress of the Accra Wesley Girls High School, Gifty Krantima, has been outlining some strategies being taken at her school to complement the disinfection exercise.
Yes, it's actually a challenge, and now as you've already said, a lot of restrictions have been eased, so people have taken the virus lightly. But as an institution, for the safety of the students, we are still going to adhere to all the safety protocols to ensure that our students are very safe with us. We're going to go on. And what we have actually done with the hot meal is, because of the social distance, we used to make them queue for their food. Based on that, we were able to get some baskets for each class to ensure that they will take their bowls to the dining hall to be served. And when it's time for lunch, they just go pick safely into their classrooms, and then they have their lunch in their classrooms. So I think it's going to go on. And besides, it's going to be very safe for them to have their lunch in their classroom.
The exercise, which is expected to be completed on September 30, is part of government's effort in preparing for the return of the students. For Joynews, Manuel Kranting.
Residents of the West Mamprusi Municipal Wale say they're worried about the continued delay in completing the township road project. They say deep potholes, open gutters and trenches left by the contractor make navigation difficult for residents anytime it rains. Correspondent Elias Atanko has more.
The Wale Township Road project began sometime last year and was expected to have been completed in 6 months. Since then, construction on the project has been very slow, frustrating residents. The project was initiated to, among others, control the perennial flooding in the area and boost socio-economic activities. But it's turned out to be a time bomb waiting to explode. Even though it is one of the government's most touted achievements in the Wale constituency, the uncompleted project has left the town in a very deplorable state, with gutters, culverts, holes and drains all uncovered, posing a constant risk to their lives, while serious works are yet to begin on the roads in some neighborhoods. Others, which had already been asphalted, were peeling off and deteriorating rapidly. At the Tamplungu community, the road links several nearby villages to the main hospital and the facility of the National Health Insurance Authority. However, it is dotted with giant potholes, often swamped with water, and has caused severe injuries to many people in the area. The residents here recall a promise made by the Vice President in 2016 to construct the road in 2 years if his party won power. They are therefore appealing to him to fulfill the promise by asking the contractor to return to site, if not to complete the project, but to cover the culverts and gutters to ensure free movement of people in the area.
majuan kenan darsring barwani nda wala jingna man fashiri andu buarwani den ta haka bazan gungwalnin son nan la gungwalnin sama mun ba sai ki yadwal nan ya den yanya sha.
The suffering is so unbearable. I still feel pains in my leg because I feel in the nature of the road.
Zugudan mukatan la sorma ngwa mukatu pam. Ka sa ka sorma mukati.
We are unable to move around either motorbikes or bicycles, not to talk of vehicles. He came claiming that they will complete this project in 2 to 3 months, but it is almost 6 months. Amid the continued downpour, if they don't do something about the road, all our houses will collapse. So we are admonishing the contractor, Alhaji Rashid, to come back to complete the project, else we will cover all the gutters. And he should not blame us when that happens.
Because I was there. Because you can see my house is just, behind the road. We're there, 2016. When His Excellency, the Vice President, led the people. They started from the health insurance route. They walked throughout the major route from the human mosque over there. And he told the people, even including us, that when he gets opportunity to lead this country, he will come and build the road for us. And we're happy. We all supported him. So he said that vividly. I can remember it. So when we heard that they are coming, the contractor is coming to start the road, we're all happy. So we said, oh, this our father, our brother, some of us, our uncles, as coming out to fulfill his promise. They came and started it. But look at the situation in which we are. So we are pleading with the Vice President. Yes, you actually passed through this route. You said it, and you have started. We are pleading with you to let the contractor come and finish the road for us. Yes. Okay.
The municipal chief executive, Armia Somolaki, however, appealed for calm.
With regards to the Waliwali Township Road, the contractor hasn't finished. He did the first phase. The second phase is yet to start. I have spoken with him on that, and he promised coming. He also planned when the rains issue came. But we are assuring the good people of Waliwali that the town roads will be completed for them to use in just the near, just about it's about this and not months. They should extra patience.
The chiefs of Hanswa and Bemuhene of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Apintin Fusujiabo II, has admonished traditional rulers and private individuals to complement government's efforts in developing the region by also embarking on projects capable of bringing relief to the people. There is more in the following report by Anna Sabit.
The Hanswa community is arguably the fastest growing community under the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region. The community has over the years been without a market center, and this, according to the people, has been affecting trading activities in diverse ways. We have been exposed to both the sun and the winds, and that has been affecting our trading activities here. When it rains, you have to move your items home, and this is worrying because foodstuff like cassava will go waste after some days, and that's worrying. Apart from the fact that they are being exposed to the weather, there's also the risk of being exposed to accidents, especially to those who sell by the roadside. We used to trade by the roadside, but there are so much risks here. Lots of accidents do occur here. Fortunately for these traders, the chief of Hanswa and Bamuhini of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Apentin Fosujiabo II, has constructed a market complex to enhance economic activities as well as improve the standard of living of the local traders.
No, the goods they were selling, and some were being stolen by some thieves and robbers, and most especially they were not protected because they were just on the sun, and therefore by putting up this structure for them, they have a place to where they can at least have their security. and that is why I made this store. And I made the actual store structure, and then the stores where they will do the daily marketing, trading is within the stores, so they will be safe over there.
The Nana Bema market has 32 stalls, 40 shelves, toilet facilities, amongst others. But what motivated the traditional ruler to embark on this project?
I was motivated by their plight, as I saw the women during rainy season and other things, and where they were. They cannot do that petty trading. So that motivated me to see what I can do for them. That is the motivation, the actual motivation. My sisters, my mothers, and those, especially the ladies who were doing daily marketing, and they have no other resource, these petty traders. I saw that they were having some problems, and what can I do as a leader of the place? And that motivated me to do that structure for them.
And Ahansohene called on traditional rulers as well as private entities to support their various communities by embarking on developmental projects as part of their corporate social responsibilities to complement government's efforts.
I don't think the government can do everything at the right time. And therefore, we, the leaders, we, the private people, who can also subsidize, who can also help the government doing it. And even in Techma here and beyond. The government, central government cannot do almost everything for everybody. And therefore, I think it is time now that private people too, some leaders too, who can do it, must also take that and do it in their own place, especially in their own place. We don't wait for the central government to come and do where perhaps the government cannot reach there at the right time we may need it.
Let's now turn our attention to a group calling itself the United Headquarters in the Ashanti region, which says it is upset with the deceptive nature of politicians. The group says the politicians make juicy promises during the electioneering period and do not fulfill those promises when they win power. According to the group, they have learned good lessons from the past and will not allow themselves to be deceived this time round. Mohammed Nuruddin has more in the following report.
Hundreds of them gathered here at Bola Bola, a slum in their Swansea constituency. They are yearning for better treatment from politicians who come to them during electioneering season. For them, the governing New Patriotic Party has not fulfilled its 2016 promises to them.
Yes, if you look at the 2016 election, they came out and made a promise that they will build a hostel for Kayai, they will build some factories in our district so that the Kayai people can learn some works so that they will not come to the southern sector here. And if you go to north, there's not any factory in the northern region which they will say that they built this factory just to ease the work of Kayai. And the hostel that they said they are going to build, there's not any block laying down showing that they are building a hostel for Kayai in Ashanti region or Ghana as a whole. And if you look at what MPP has been saying to us, always they used to tell us, but looking at the regions that we're going to register, they came out to tell us that we are not citizens of this nation and we are not residents of Asawasi here again. So they should challenge our people for them not to register.
Clearly, this man doesn't really meant what he said, that he was fighting corruption. Because he has spent...
But Member of Parliament for Asawasi constituency, Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, urges them to take back the respect they earned to the ruling government in 2016.
Is that when somebody does not honor the respect you gave him, you take it back. Let's take it back and let's show Nana and any MPP government in future that when you come and treat Ashanti region the way he has treated Ashanti region, they will not just go voting on the simple altar, we are MPP. They will wise up. And I believe our people in Ashanti region have wise up. Thank you very much. We are really very grateful for your time.
Mohammed Mubarak says 4 more for Nana means 4 more to waste.
If Nana says he needs 4 more to do more, in actual sense he's saying we should give him 4 more to waste more. And Ghanaians, I don't think we are ready for that. Because for Ashanti region, as he's coming, this week or next week. We are here to see you as he starts going around, what he will be commissioning. Because I know that what is going to be easy for him is to be cutting sword. But remember, he has already gotten 4 years. And I am going to remind my people in Asante Region, when the man needed you to vote for him again, he didn't do much for you. You think that when he will not need your vote again, that's when he will do more? I doubt it.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
In the studio, my name is Chief Imam. Now let's take a look at what the two major political parties have for headquarters in their 2020 manifestos. The NPP and NDC manifestos compared. So this is the NDC saying it will raise levels of numeracy, literacy, self-esteem and responsible citizenship by extending opportunities to market women, commercial drivers, laborers and headquarters KAYE through an extended complementary basic education based on more flexible school hours. It says it will introduce skills training and social assistance programs through the National Apprenticeship Program to KAYE and their source communities. Implement the programs targeting street children, including KAYEs, the vulnerable and unemployed youth. Create a safe environment for street children, including KAYEs, by providing safe accommodation for them. And provide income support to the KAYEs during humanitarian emergencies and crises. Ensure automatic registration of KAYEs onto the NHIS for those living in emergency disaster areas. Let's go to the NPP, and it says reduction of levels imposed on KAYE by local authorities. 2 KAYE have been exempted from market tolls. Now let's go to the Redudio constituency for today's voters' voice.
Register mo banyama biase katoi kani bi ye manemi akawa jame bana register mokotashi enye premba mama agba telephone bi la kenche bo unu chumo ochu akolo ekami na won bio ni kami challenge bo aja ka ni eni wotashe won kwa no fi ano ekama mi na ye jio kanya ba anu na ka mokowo. Why am I no nete no neba why am I no nete no neba why am I why am I why am I no nete no neba why am I come in the floor and for nana therefore yes floor and for nana ya no come of yam binila tenke in the floor and for nana, 4 years in a backward year, about 2 slanuchumu. 4 years in a backward about 2 same penuchumu.
We need peace and unity. We are all here to do what is right. But as now, what is going on? It's not fair. If you pass here, people are passing you, pass here, they are fighting here and there. We are not here to fight. We need peace and unity.
Fishing ball no Benjamin fat wafun watabia ni bana ke akufado ametena makat sword na ajenu chumonshi Benjamin fat fat o you temna 3 won you no ko yakucho nem no ni wo ga form o yakucho nem ama mene circle overhead shikana kama circle overhead blecho wanyo ko mene kumo pokwase interchange na afio mene kumo connection correct.
December 7 will be interesting. Now, the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Usman Nur Sharbutu, has called on the political class to commit to peace in their electioneering campaign to help sustain peace before, during, and after the upcoming elections. In a peace message delivered at his residence Tuesday morning, the National Chief Imam also urged the youth to channel their energies to positive ventures and not to avail themselves to dishonest politicians to perpetrate crime.
To wannan aya kullun na faɗin sa mu kasan Ghana Allah ya mana Ghana kasa amina musulmanin nan alhalin kuwa muna tsakanin waɗansu garin da suke daura da mu ana kashi-kashi ana ribaci mutane sauran addinai da wani addinai ba shiri mu kuwa nan Ghana mu da sauran kiristan da wani kiristan duka muna zaune lafiya tebur guda muna shawara to wanga nema ne da Allah ya muna da ya kamata mu gode mu bayyana neman nan kar mu boye shi domin Allah ahli shukuri hadisi kudusi ahli shukuri ahli ziyadati Allah ce hadisi kudusi masu gode mini ina wasu ƙari mun gode ma wanga ni'ima muka duba ni'ima Allah ya mana da muna zaman lafiya mu da sauran addinai lafiya to mun gode mene da godiyar mu a yi zaɓe ba zuwa da jini a yi zaɓe ba zuwa da jini kara ribaci sauran samaruna a neme su da wani hali na tashin hankali har jini ya zuba ya kamata karbo bari ko digon zani ya guda a cikin abin da za yi mun yi haka nan mun gode ma neman da Allah ya ba mu kenan shi Allah ya kara mana nema amma muka butulce ma Allah muka ci ba mu gani ba irin neman da Allah ya muna to Allah ya sauka na neman sauƙi wurin Allah Allah ya ƙara mana nema saboda shi muke faɗin neman da Allah ya muna mutanen Ghana sauran ƙasashe kuma da ba kwanciyar hankali Allah ya kawo musu kwanciyar hankali bisirri ilafi ƙuraishin ilafi marahila ta shi ta yi wasu faliya bugu ba da baiti Allah zai asama min ju'in sama samaru nan matasa kan kuma da rode ku yan siyasa su rude ku ku yi tashin hankali kuna tashin hankali sabanin ra'ayi bai kawo muku tashin hankali ku raba zumunci tsakanin ku sabanin ra'ayi kowa da ra'ayinsa bai kawo ku yanke zumunci.
Sheikh Usman Nur Sharbutu is the National Chief Imam. We'll take a break on Joynews. We'll bring you more in business shortly.
Hello once again, it's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Imagine losing half of your annual salary. Now, that's a grim reality that farmers in Palugu in the Upper East region are faced with following the northern flood disaster, which wiped out the entire harvest. Speaking to the hosts of the Super Modern show, Kojo Youngson, the farmers say that they're unable to feed their families and called on governments to intervene.
Is there anybody here whose farm was not destroyed?
No, we're all affected.
All of you, your farms, all gone?
Yes.
I want an idea of how much money you have lost. Normally, your harvest, how much do you get for your harvest?
Personally, myself, I think what I've lost this time around is almost about 5,000, sorry. It's about 5,000. But I think my colleagues, some of them are even doing better than me. So maybe they might have even lost more than what I have done.
So if you are a maize farmer, for example,
yes,
you harvest how many times a year? Twice a year.
Yes.
And one of your harvests has just...
It's almost all. Because the time of the first harvest delayed because the rains didn't set in time.
I know that the government says they have been warning those who live and farm near the White Volta that every year when they spill the Bagre Dam, it's going to damage your property and your farms. Has government ever said that to you before? Have you been warned not to farm?
As I've told you, we've been warned. But as I'm telling you now, 65 years, I've never seen this water. So even those farm upland, our farms were washed. So you can imagine what it is.
But they've been warning you every year.
Yeah, but those who can harvest early, we normally harvest early, but this one able to harvest early. Secondly, it has even gone to places which are upland areas. The water has gone to take all those areas.
So this is somebody's farm?
This is somebody's farm. You can see the maize. He was not able to harvest. It is not even matured.
So it's all rotten?
It's rotten.
Kojangston interacting with some agri farmers who've lost livelihood amid the Bagre Dam spillage. Now, the Australian High Commissioner to Ghana says the private sector is much more powerful a driver of economic growth than foreign aid. According to Gregory Andrews, patronizing made in Ghana products should be a deliberate effort to anchor the president's ambitious agenda of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. He spoke to my colleague Fred Duho.
But coming to the point you made about small and medium-sized enterprises, the President of Ghana, he's been very clear about Ghana Beyond Aid. And that doesn't mean that Ghana doesn't need aid, but the private sector is a much bigger and more powerful driver of profit. The private sector is a much bigger and more powerful driver of poverty reduction than aid. Aid can play an important role, but small and medium-sized enterprises can make a real difference. So Agatha, who lives up the road from the High Commission, who I buy my bread from, by sharing and promoting her small business, I can support her and her family and support local economies here in Ghana.
Patronizing their goods, what has been the experience?
Well, probably sounds a bit cheeky, but I think I've got a pretty good haircut. And it was 20 cedi from a local Ghanaian hairdresser just around the corner. So my experience has really been to get great quality services, whether it's bread, a haircut, cane furniture from across the road, banana plants or other plants that we're buying for our garden here. But probably more enriching than that is I'm meeting real Ghanaians. I'm meeting the local people and making friends with them.
Now, the COVID-19 restrictions across the world have created a niche demand for homes and land ownership in Ghana. Head of Corporate Affairs and Marketing for real estate company Apollonia City, Matthew Answer, says demand for homes have shot up by 30%, with over 500 parcels of land bought by Ghanaians in the diaspora. He interacted with me a short while ago when the UK Chamber of Commerce paid a working visit to the company.
I think one of the things COVID-19 taught all of us is the essence of homes, the relevance of homes for everybody. So there are people who spent the lockdown period in hotels and other places. So home, sweet home. Interestingly, after COVID, we've noticed that there's increased demand for homes and increased demand for service plots. Because within Apollonia, we have different neighborhoods. And yes, we're taking advantage of that to let people, to service the demand that we have.
In terms of the demand, could you quantify that for us in terms of numbers?
In terms of numbers, I would say that we've seen more than 35% increase in demand, and quite a number of them are from the diaspora.
During COVID-19 period.
During COVID-19 period, we have quite a number of people who say that after COVID,
especially after the borders were opened. We're coming back to Ghana. We'll be around in October, November. We want to come and see your plots. We want to come and see your homes and make a decision, because for a lot of them, they've been working out there all their lives, and they feel that, I mean, if finally there's a decision to come back to Ghana, they should have a home that they can comfortably live in. And the major fear for most of the people in the diaspora is with the level of trust they have for developers. And so once they find a credible developer, we've done this, our mother developer is called Renewable. Renewable is building in 5 African countries, building 7 city development or city scale development, and Apollonia is one of them. For the kind of credibility, the kind of parentage we have, it gives them that comfort that they can come and be in a place like this. And the good thing is that some of them are able to cross-reference. They talk to their friends who've already purchased homes here, and they are comfortable to come in here.
And that's it by way of business. Gary L. Smith is up next with sports.
Ready for yet another Ghanaian world title in boxing? Well, that's what we'll be having this weekend, and that's how I welcome you to Sports on Prime, the second edition. Gary L. Smith here. Duke Micah is ready to challenge John Real Casemiro as he steps up for the biggest test of his career, with the WBO World Bantamweight title being on the line. Now, Micah, who is trained by Andre Rosier, will fight the Filipino John Casemiro on the 26th of September. You know what I'm saying, Micah? Go for it on Saturday. In football, Ghana Premier League outfit Asante Kotoko are on the verge of sealing a partnership deal with an English top-flight side. Now, the Porcupine Warriors have said this through the new Chief Executive Officer, Nanaya Amponsa. The announcement was made when the 23-time Ghanaian champions held a press conference to unveil the new management team on Tuesday.
I can tell you here and now that we are about 90% through signing a partnership deal with an EPL club, English Premier League club. There used to be a partnership deal between Asante Kotoko and Sunderland. We are going to sign with another English Premier League club. What we sought to do is to plug Kotoko into that EPL club. Whatever they have there, we need to have it here. If not in the same size, but a replica. We're going to have that. We are going to link, as part of the partnership, our technical team to their technical team. Our youth setup to their youth setup. That English Premier League club has about the best academy in England and arguably the world. They've produced superstars. So our youth setup is going to plug into their youth setup. We're going to have exchange programs. Our commercial side is going to plug into their commercial side. We're even going to syndicate for sponsorships together. Our administrative setup is going to plug into the administrative setup to ensure that we have a functioning team. Our supporters, front, the trust is going to plug into this. So we run Kotoko as a professional unit. It's good to have such synergies, it's good to have such relationships and partnerships, so you can have that economies of scale and benefit from same.
Let's go abroad, and with the coronavirus pandemic wreaking havoc across the world, teams and leagues are slowly getting back to normal. Our partners DWTV have sent a report down on what is being done in Germany, and here is William. So remember that in Ghana's situation, when the Premier League and other competitions start, it will be 25% capacity as the president ordered, but in Germany it's 20. That's the sport for now. Gary L. Smith here. Thank you for your time. Let's do this again tomorrow.
we wrap up the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com for all the updates. Up next is PM Express. Tonight, we are gauging the two manifestos, the NDC and MPP, and we are on the economy and jobs. On Wednesdays, you know how we do it. We break it down for you so you can decide come December 7. You cannot miss this. Stay tuned.